Hello,
Hello, everybody.
everyone. How is everybody
Welcome.
doing? Welcome back.
Uh, let me know that you know podcasts.
I'm like, we're
Party
talking.
on, Mandy.
Wow, party on, Dustin, not Garth, as I wanted to say. How is everybody doing this week? I hope you're good, right? Anything good that's going on down below? We would love to hear
Yeah,
it.
we would.
So, we watched the
So
Super Bowl. How about that?
we, we sure did.
We ate
Uh,
snacks. That was the Super Bowl. That's my
yeah,
Super Bowl. The
that's always
snack
my Super
bowl.
Bowl. I I usually don't care about the teams. Football's not my sport. I like the baseball, basketball, hockey. Not a football guy.
I like baseball. I like hockey.
Yeah.
I don't really care about
Um.
basketball, but I will always be down with the Wolves.
Yeah. The only time I actually cared about the Super Bowl, was when Atlanta played because
Sure,
that's where I'm from. I'm from
you have
Georgia.
to. You got to.
But
That didn't work
otherwise,
out though.
I just want to see the commercials. It did
Me
not.
too.
It's I've
How about that weird feet commercial? That is not a
I,
religious commercial. That was a foot commercial. That was a foot fetish commercial if I ever saw one.
fortunately I did not see that.
It was lucky for you because I hated it.
I don't know
I
if that was I was in the bathroom or I
You
said
might
I
have
don't want to
been.
watch this anymore and went to bed or
No, it
what.
was early. You just might not have
Uh,
been in the room, but boy, did I not like it. I'm like, get these feet out of here. I ain't trying to see feet.
yeah.
Mm, okay. Anyway,
Mm,
we have a big main topic to cover, but we have a couple of little quick topics to go through to start out.
yeah.
The first one topic is near and dear to my heart. I love The Office. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. And I saw an article pop up over, I think, last weekend that I was like, huh? Number one, I didn't even remember that she was in the show. Number two, I was like, bro, this is a heavy episode to come in on. So it was Dakota Johnson talking about her kind of stint on The Office. It was one episode, it was the finale. And
Yeah.
it kind of rubbed me the wrong way, I guess. I
Yeah.
feel like talking about a beloved show, right, is a tricky thing to navigate because people have a lot of feelings. And I will very, right up front go, I'm probably biased. So I have some strong feelings about this, but I will try to justify them as best I can. And y'all can roast me below if necessary. I am willing to hear it. Anyway, so she was saying like everyone was like real kind of weird to her on set, and she was basically the person that came in to replace Kevin after they fired him, right? And so she had like
Yeah.
a couple scenes throughout the finale, right? And so she was like, I thought I would be there for like a couple hours and then that would be that, right? But she was like, I was there, I think it was for 2 weeks, and she didn't
Yeah.
like that. And I'm like, I get it, but like I
Yes,
feel
but
like that's
like
something you can discuss before you agree to do something. I don't know. I haven't
I
done this
don't know.
before. I have no idea. But that was kind of my thought, that I was like, can't you like talk about that? Like, don't just assume things and
I
just
also
go,
don't think did she think just because it was a TV show it was gonna be like a couple hours? I don't think that's how that works.
I don't know,
Like
because I also am not sure if she's done TV or anything before.
I don't
I will be first to say, not a Dakota Johnson girly. I don't think positively or negatively of her. I just saw
I
this and I went,
didn't I didn't know anything about her until the 50 Shades
right.
movie, even
And
though
that is
like
the
I'm
only thing I've seen of her other than that.
yeah,
I might have seen
I'm,
something else, but it's not like she's like, I really love her. I really dislike her. I'm indifferent.
I'm a huge fan of her father.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Yeah.
But I don't know. She was saying like they were kind of rude to her on set or whatever. But like, big picture to me, right? I'm
Hmm.
thinking this is the finale, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure it would be great to be like to have it be like the normal kind of from what I understand. I listen to the Office Ladies podcast. I have that coming in to my ear every week. So I kind of get background information. Is that
Yeah.
100% accurate? I don't know. I'd like to think so, but I don't know. But it sounds like for the most part like leading up to that finale, everybody who was on had a good time. Like they've reached out to so many like minor characters throughout the show. And, they've all had positive experiences as far as I know, right? So
Yeah.
I was reading this and I'm like, it's kind of a tough episode to expect that same kind of energy on because you have
Yeah.
all these cast members that spent, most of them 9, 10 years together. And this is
Yeah.
like it, you know?
Hmm.
So I'm like, I don't know. I
I
would
don't
have a
know.
little grace for it and be like,
Just a little bit.
not be like,
We
it was fucking awkward. Like, probably, but you don't need to go roast it on late night. You know what I mean? I don't
yeah.
know.
We
It
you
felt a
said
little weird to me. Anyway, go on.
you said she said something about Madam Web too, right? Like
Yes. She's
she
like,
didn't
I
think it
don't
was
know if
gonna
it
be
was gonna
good.
be. I didn't know if it was gonna be a good movie. And I'm like, that's something you say like after promo. I would think. Like maybe you
Yeah.
can admit that later, but not like literally while you were on the promotional cycle for that movie.
I mean, and I'm making a lot of assumptions here because I don't know her as a person,
Exactly. And that's
but
that's why I'm
like,
like I'm not her fangirly. I don't know much about her. I just read
yeah,
this article because it pertained to something I was interested in. But I was like,
but
I don't like this.
yeah, but I will say, like, I mean, girly, people don't really know you like that. Like, your dad was on Miami Vice. You weren't on Miami Vice.
Right.
So don't go into this thinking you're getting Don Johnson's clout.
Right.
And I'm making assumptions. She might be a sweet person, but it just seems weird to go into the last episode of a show that's been on for 9 seasons and expect like everyone to kiss your ass. I don't know
right.
what she wanted, but
And I think
um,
there might be like somewhat of a reputation right behind the scenes that, everybody came
yeah,
on and had such wonderful things to say. So maybe she also had an expectation going in that it was going to be like this perfect, wonderful experience. But I mean, honestly, it's kind of like grieving something because they're like
yeah,
losing almost a family. I mean, not really, they can still connect outside of it,
yeah,
but these are people they worked with, day in, day out for years. So
yeah,
it's still kind of a loss. So I was like, I don't know. My
yeah,
my thoughts and hindsight 2020 whatever. I can look at this and go maybe I would have given them a little more grace and tried not to
yeah,
like decide this is a talking point I want to go on. But I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there.
yeah.
So all I
And
can do is speculate.
again, I don't know her as a person, so take everything I said with a grain of salt. Um, but I'm just saying, if that's the attitude she is going in with it, like, tone it down. You don't.
Yeah.
It's not like that. Like, you were in 50 Shades and
And I
everybody
don't
loved those movies, but like,
I don't think she had been in 50 Shades at that point to
no,
be
she
honest with you.
hadn't at that point. I mean, she wouldn't have been because they stuck her in the last episode of this show. They didn't expect her to
Right.
be
I think it was like
something.
2011 or something. I don't know, somewhere in there when The Office
Probably.
ended.
The Office ended a long time ago.
2011, 2012. Don't you dare
Yeah.
say that. That was last week.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know her as a person. All I can do is speculate, like you said. But
2013.
yeah.
Excuse me. But yeah.
But I will say, despite all that, even if that is the attitude she's going in with it, I'm excited for Madam Web
There
because
you go.
of uh Sydney Sweeney, is that her name?
I know that's an actress's name.
The new up and coming star
I mean, yes.
from Euphoria.
Yeah, I believe so, yes.
Okay, her character in the movie,
Mm.
I'm hyped to see on the big screen. She's gonna be Spider-Woman, but not the Spider-Woman people may be thinking. Um, I've only seen her in the cartoons, specifically the Iron Man cartoon, but I'm sure she was in the comics first. But I saw previews of her and I'm hyped. I'm hyped about that. I thought it was just going to be a Madam Web story. I'm not that interested in Madam Web, but hearing that Spider Woman's going to be in it, awesome.
We love it. We love it.
I'm a nerd.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it. But hey, could be good. I
Yeah,
kind of remember.
I hope better than Morbius.
Yeah, sure. I feel like that's probably an easy hurdle to to get
Yeah,
over. I hope.
no, no Morbin time for us.
Oh gosh. That was a thing, huh? They really thought they
Yes,
did
there was.
something there and they're like, "Oh yeah, we got to bring it back to theaters. We're going to make so much money." And it was like, "Bro, it's a meme though. It's a
I,
meme. You're going to get a
I,
little more money for like a little bit, but it's not going
I
to go
can't
down as like
believe
a classic. I don't think. I hope not."
I can't believe a meme cost Sony thousands, if not millions of dollars.
Fucking wild, my dude.
Why
Um,
did they do that?
I don't know. I don't know.
Anyways,
I never saw it. Maybe one day, but maybe
well,
not.
some people that are close and dear to me and I
Mhm.
trust their opinions have said it is not good.
Okay, great. What about
Yeah.
like just as a lull? You know what I mean? Like don't take
Uh,
it as a actual serious film and just go, oh,
I think
one of those.
Addison got a bit of a kick out of it, but I
Sure.
don't know if he said it was funny enough. I think he basically said don't pay money for it, but maybe watch
Sure.
it once.
Yeah.
So,
That's kind of the vibe. It's like
yeah.
Saltburn cuz everybody was
Oh
talking
my
about
God.
it and
Do
I
not,
watched it and I was like,
do not watch
that
that
was
movie.
certainly something. And that was enough for me. I don't need to watch it again.
Do not watch that movie. I'm warning every one of you right now. It's not worth it. It's boring. And when it gets to the actual parts that everyone's talking about, it's creepy and weird.
It
It's
is
not a good
weird.
movie.
It is weird. It is a movie.
That
That
was
is
time I'll never get back. That movie was terrible.
it's funny cuz I had watched it one day and I was like, I just need you to see it because it happened to me. So it was like I put it on one night. I fell asleep. I was like, I already watched this once. It's your turn. It was
How
like The
dare you?
Ring. It was like The Ring. I cursed you.
How dare you?
Okay.
How dare you? I'll never forgive you for that.
Yeah, you'll get over it.
That movie was terrible. I hated that movie.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
It just screamed film school student thinks they have something deep. It was not good.
And like the
And
beginning is
I
so like,
predicted like
ugh,
most of it. I was like, oh, he's like a sociopath, and but sure
yeah.
enough,
I have to
it
talk
didn't
to you
take.
about this at the after we're done because I want to know if you got to all the twists.
Well, we've already talked about that, and you know I did.
Oh wait, yeah, you would have had to. Never mind.
Yeah,
Because yeah, never mind. I know you got to
unfortunately. Well,
yeah.
I know about everything that happened, and I saw the thing you wanted me to see.
Well, yeah, because that was traumatic, and I wanted you you to have that
It was
trauma too. Anyway, yeah. So that was a movie. Hopefully, Madam Web is good.
hopefully.
All right. Should we move on to our next topic? Our next little quickie topic.
Sure, sure.
So we know, and by we I
Mhm.
mean all the little besties, right? All my little
All
stream
the little
besties.
besties.
Um, Mandy's in deep. Mandy's in deep with Yakuza. So I'm getting all the Yakuza news all day, every day. We love it.
Yeah. I told
So
you would like this series.
yeah, I like it a lot. I love this series. It's the same thing
Yeah.
with Dragon Age. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I named my cat after Kiryu.
Yes, we have little Kiryu. He's cute. He's a little shithead, but he's cute.
Little hellion, something
Kids feeling
rebellion. I don't know.
rebellious. Embarrassed. The parents still listen to Elvis. Anyway, uh Yokoyama, which he's like the producer, director, writer, all of that for the game
Yeah.
series, right? Was talking about
Mhm.
Yakuza 0. And I'm just more curious to get kind of a read to see how everybody else felt. But he was talking about at the end of the game. I was like, I don't know who I guess him and Twitter were talking about it because he tweeted about it. Um
Yeah.
he was tweeting that they were talking about at the end of Yakuza 0. So I guess spoilers, not really.
Yeah.
Kind of nah. They were talking about the
Yeah.
outfit choices because, Majima's in his like club outfit, we'll say his cabaret outfit for
Yeah.
the majority of the game. And Kiryu is in his SpaghettiOs shirt for majority of the game. And at the end, they switch into their, kind of canon outfit for the rest of the series. And
Yeah.
the gray suit that Kiryu wears, his iconic gray suit, is just supposed to identify the kind of moral ambiguity of the character that he kind of rides between, doing good and doing things the wrong way, I guess.
Yeah.
And then Majima's, snake skin jacket and all that is that he doesn't stay within any parameters. He's going to do whatever he needs to do.
I can see that.
So, that was I felt kind of apparent, but there was a lot of people that that were saying that was like a good clarification, I guess. I don't know. It felt obvious to me, so I just wanted to know your opinion
I
and
don't know.
anyone else's.
People, I don't know if I can even go off of what other people say about this series. I mean, they sit there and they talk about like Ichiban like he's a child, and the dude's like
Bro is
50,
almost
almost 50.
50. Yes.
Like, people have this perception of Kiryu. I don't know why they think he's pure. I mean, he's a dumbass, but
He's a lovable idiot. We love him.
he is a lovable idiot. But I just want to say, I don't know. That seems like a good description to me.
Yeah, I mean, he's just, I guess him and Majima are kind of the same in that sense. They just take different paths. Where
Yeah,
Kiryu tries for the most part to go and do things,
I
I
think
guess,
the
the
thing,
appropriate way. Majima will do whatever he has to.
I think the thing is you have to play Zero to understand Majima more as a
Yes.
character
Yes.
and to understand why Majima is how he is now because he met why can't I remember his name? I always want to say Nishiki, but it's not Nishiki,
No.
is
It's um
it's another N name.
oh, Nishitani. I was trying to figure out
Nishitani.
who you were talking about. I
Nishitani.
love
Every
Nishitani.
time, and I love Nishitani, but every time I'm like, Nishiki? But no, it's Nishitani.
Mhm.
Anyways, he meets Nishitani, and Nishitani, even though they know each other for a brief amount of time,
Mhm.
like, you gotta figure they probably knew each other all of like 3 hours if you put together all the time they were
All the
actually
time. Yeah.
together.
Right.
Um, that interaction informed Majima's life from that point on.
It truly did. It truly did.
And
I think, and it also
Kiryu,
has to, just to touch on that just a little bit more, I think it
yeah,
also has a lot to do with the fact that, especially where he met Nishitani,
yeah,
he was caged. right?
Yes.
He had no control of his life.
Yes.
And he saw Nishitani as someone who was basically doing whatever he wanted, regardless of what leadership, whatever, was saying. He was going to do
Yeah.
things his own way. And of course, that left a huge impression at that point.
Yeah. And then when you look at where Kiryu was when that game starts, um, a lot more bullheaded, a lot more
Mm hmm.
um, naive, I
Yes,
guess
absolutely.
I'll say. And then, you have the events of Zero where Kiryu learns, like, oh, I can't really trust anyone.
That, and
Even Nishiki had a gun to my head. Like, I can't.
you know what? And then he left him on a mountain.
He
He
left him
took
on a
his
mountain.
car and left him on a mountain.
That was the equivalent of I get one free punch.
Literally, except his punch was very time consuming.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining this man hiking down the fucking mountain going,
But you really like the brilliance of this series is you really have to take it in as a whole and think about where they are in their lives
mm,
in each game.
yeah.
And Zero is an important game. I wouldn't say play Zero first. I would never say that. I know a lot of people say play Zero first. I don't understand that. Zero makes a lot of references to two and some references to three. And I just feel like it's important to at least play like half of three, maybe, before you get to
I
zero.
felt
Or,
really okay going through 1 and 2, right?
yeah,
And then going back to 0. Um,
yeah,
just because I will say there were definitely references I didn't get when I was, playing through 0 now that I've played 3 and beyond,
yeah,
right? But you have like majority of the references, the little callbacks to different characters, all of that. You get majorities of those if you play through at least 2.
yeah. Like most of the references are to two, but
Yeah.
I just
Ryuji.
feel it's important to at least have played the first two before you get to zero. But
For
I do
sure.
think zero is important to understand Majima the most. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't really understand Majima until you play zero.
Right.
Um, and Kiryu, you can kind of use context clues to be like, oh, he's this way because of this.
For
But
sure.
zero does help a lot.
Yeah. And I think it really kind of helps you put into perspective the weight he puts onto himself, right?
Yeah,
In the games going forward. Because he
yeah,
he he is kind of reckless and, like you said, bullheaded and all of that in the beginning, but then he really kind of gets a reality check and goes, my actions have consequences.
yeah,
All throughout that game there's so many different like situations where he tries to do, despite what other people tell him, what he thinks is the best choice, but it ends up biting him in the ass anyway. So
yeah, in a real sad way.
yeah.
And he has a tendency to end up in the middle of shit that he has no idea what the fuck is going on.
Mm-hmm.
And at first has nothing to do with him, and then by the end of the games has everything to do with him.
Right. Well, because he doesn't just go, it's fine, whatever, I'll just do whatever you say and then move on with my life. No, he has to go, well, why you doing this?
Yeah.
What you up to? Hmm? But
Um,
yeah, that was
very
really
nosy.
it.
But
I what
I mean,
It's perfect for me because I am also very nosy. Tell me everything.
but I guess my point is Zero really makes you understand, like, yes, Kiryu is kind of very gray area, and
Yes.
Zero definitely makes you understand the snake skin. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Majima is like this
He's a
because
wild
of
and
this.
crazy guy.
He's a wild and crazy guy, and he wasn't always.
Right.
He met Nishitani and said, "Bro, I'm gonna be you."
You're my idol.
But yeah,
But yeah, that was just something I found interesting and wondered, who else picked up on it, who else that was new information for? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like people
Oh no.
just have blinders on. What's up?
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna get another Amber Alert.
Oh. But anyways, I think that's people have blinders when it comes to Kiryu and when it comes to Ichiban for whatever reason. I mean, I know Ichiban's like emotionally stunted, but the man is almost 50.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard to remember that because of how he acts. And he's not graying like Kiryu, who's only like what,
Listen, we don't want to.
10,
I don't want to talk about that.
10 years
I
older than him?
yeah, just about. I think
Uh,
it might not be a full 10 years, but it's pretty close.
I mean, I guess that's not really um a moniker for graying hair. I have gray hair. I've had
I
it
was about
since
to
I was
say.
18.
I'm like, okay, what's your excuse?
Stress.
You don't think
I guess
Kiryu's stressed?
I guess that means Ichiban will never gray.
Hey, he's chill.
That
He's
man
just
is
chilling.
two head empty.
Love him. Love him. Um. Anyway, we don't talk about Kiryu's gray hair because his was a sudden onset gray hair.
Yeah, that's true. Um, really love the new outfit. Don't want to say what it reminds me of because it makes the girlies sad, but yeah.
You're gonna have to tell me after because I you probably told me, but I forgot.
Did I just say it?
Sure. No.
Uh,
Sure.
close your ears if this makes you sad thinking about Kiryu. It makes me think of Johnny Cash when he came dressed as
Oh,
black
you
and they
just
said,
told
"You
me.
look like you're dressed for a funeral," and he said, "I am my own."
Yeah.
Anyways, that's what it makes me think of. And
Yeah. That's a good analogy, though.
I feel like Johnny Cash is very Kiryu core,
Mm.
since we're the girlies are using that lately.
Yes.
Um, so I wouldn't be surprised if that actually was the inspiration behind this new outfit.
Could be.
But yeah, he does have kind of a Johnny Cash look going.
Sure. I would agree with that. I think that's a good assessment.
Also, can we talk about this? Isn't this is like the most minor of spoilers? It's not even a story spoiler or anything.
Okay.
When Kiryu runs into Ichiban,
Uh huh.
which we all know he does because you've
It
seen
was
the
in the
game
trailer.
trailers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Ichiban goes, "You look different." And then this motherfucker takes off his sunglasses and goes, "How about now?"
I just want to smack him. I just want to smack him for
What
that. I'm
the
like, okay,
fuck, bro?
Superman. Okay, Clark Kent. Get out of here.
How about now? Fuck you.
Like, bro, stop.
Oh my god.
Stop it.
Anyways, I just thought that was funny. Okay, so for this episode, we wanted to do um first we are gonna do our top five saddest episodes of TV shows, like our favorite sad episodes of TV shows.
Hmm.
And then after that, to lighten up the mood, we'll talk about our top five comfort shows that we go to cheer ourselves up when we're sad.
Listen, my top 5 cheer up shows turned into a like top 9.
That's okay. Um, we can do honorable mentions after.
Yeah.
Um, do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
You can go first.
Okay. We're gonna start with the saddest TV episodes, and my number five, and the reason it's number five. Well, I'll get into that after I say. My number five is the Jurassic Park episode of Futurama. And that episode, anytime you involve pets, I'm gonna be crying like a little bitch baby.
Same. Same. Big same.
Anytime.
I've never watched
And
it and I shouldn't. I
don't,
can identify that as a bad
don't.
time.
It literally exists to make you sad. Just sad. The reason it's number 5 and not higher is because I am so angry at them for making that
You said I
episode.
won't even rank you high for this. How dare you?
Like, if I need a good cry, I know
Mm.
that episode will make me cry. What the fuck, bro? What the fuck? Futurama. Everyone's seen it. Most people have seen it. Most people know it's a comedy. Haha,
Haha.
funny. Haha, Simpsons in space. Haha. What the fuck was this? What the fuck was this? You mean tell me that out of nowhere you were gonna go, oh, we just remembered Fry had a dog back before he got frozen.
I'm
And
here
guess
to
what?
emotionally damage you.
Guess what? The dog waited for him outside the pizza place every day, wouldn't eat, and somehow got encased in molten lava. I don't remember how that happened. I don't want to go back and look to see how that happened. But what
Don't.
the fuck? Fuck you, Matt Groening.
Yeah.
Anyways, um, I have a lot of feelings about that episode.
Mm.
I saw that episode for the first time. I think I saw it when it aired or something, and I remember it was in the middle of the night when I saw it. I went into my parents' room. They were sleeping, and I was sobbing hysterically. And like, I don't know why I decided to go bother them about it. I was like, I need someone to tell me it's okay. And they're like, "What the fuck? He's crying over a cartoon dog. Like, get out of here.
Listen, I
Go to
would have
bed."
dragged them out and made them watch it and be like, "You don't cry. You don't get hurt by this."
It was a lot. I hate that fucking episode, but I put it on number 5 because it is like probably legit the saddest episode of any show I've ever seen. What's your number 5?
My number 5.
Hmm.
I'm gonna go because I just wrote out a list, right? So I'm gonna rank my number 5 as the season 2 finale of The Mandalorian when
Oh yeah.
Grogu is being carted off by Luke, and I
Oh
hate
yeah.
it. I hated it. I was like, I
Well, I
understand.
hated it.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I understand why this is happening, but I don't accept it. They were like the dynamic
Yeah.
duo. You don't separate them. I was
He
like,
was
this is
the
not
papa.
okay. And then
He
when he
was the
hugs his little
papa.
leg, stop.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I was like, that's a baby. You don't take him away.
Man.
That's like a 60-year-old baby. You don't take him away. It's so
How
it was
long
it
does
was
it
so
take
sad.
that race to
I don't know. How old was
start
Yoda? I
talking?
think at one point. I don't know. That's a great
Well,
question.
Yoda is like hundreds of years old, I
Right.
think.
So maybe like 100. At 100
Maybe.
they talk. I don't know.
Uh, that
So
would be
that was
fucked up.
that was my 5 just because I remember crying. It hurt me.
Yeah. Um, do you remember what his name was?
What?
The Mandalorian? He
Ah.
had a name and he said it
Yeah.
at one point.
Yeah.
Anyways, he's just like, in 50 years, you'll be able to tell me what you want to eat.
And he's like, I won't talk about how I'll be doing, but you'll be doing great. That's all that matters.
Yeah. How is Luke gonna, you know what? Never mind.
Don't ask questions. And I don't think well, at that point, he probably is doing the training.
Well, yeah, he has like an account. I think despite Disney being like nothing before this is canon, nothing
Yeah.
before we bought this company is canon. Despite that, they're kind of going the way of Jedi Academy, the
Okay.
games where Luke ran his own school,
Okay.
which I think they kind of touched on that in the
Mhm.
movies with Rey,
Mhm.
but
They did.
they didn't even mention you know what? I
Don't
don't care
don't
about
don't get too far
continuity.
into it. Don't yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. So what's your number 4?
My number 4
Number 4.
is um you remember, everyone might remember another show that pretended it was a comedy show and then hurt my heart. there's a theme here. You
Mm.
notice
Mhm.
How I Met Your Mother.
Oh no, I think I know which one you're gonna bring up.
Marshall's dad
Yeah.
dying. It was such a gut punch
Yeah.
because you don't notice until the end that they're counting down to it in the background, and it's too realistic. It's too relatable because it's
Mhm.
like they're just going on with their lives. Lily might be pregnant. Marshall and Lily are like going to the doctors and stuff, and it's like there's numbers in the background you start to notice, and then you're like, oh, what are we counting down to? We're gonna count down to Lily being like, oh, I'm pregnant. Nope,
Damage.
nope. You get to number two, and you're like, I'm starting to feel like this isn't gonna be good. And then the cab comes and it says number one, and then she goes, Marshall, your dad had a heart attack, and I'm crying.
Yeah.
And
Ugh.
it was just too relatable. We've all been through something
Uh-huh.
similar. We're just, you're just
You're
going
going
about your
about your
day,
life,
and then
yeah.
it's something you don't expect. Bam.
Mhm.
Woo!
Yeah.
That was a huge gut punch. I think the countdown really fucked me up
Sure. Because you don't know what you're
because
expecting and then you just
yeah,
get punched in the face
yeah,
emotionally.
especially with the whole episode being like one thing, and it's like, okay, well, what could possibly
Right.
happen? And then bam.
Yep.
And like, his dad, I liked his dad. His dad
Mm.
was such a like fun guy, and I think the last thing he ended up saying to Marshall before he died was like, "Rent Crocodile Dundee 2, it still holds up." But yeah,
Yeah.
that was my number four, and it
Yeah.
hurts still, obviously. What's your number four?
My number 4. Number 4.
Number
Um
15.
I'll say, all right, you tell me because I have one I can sub in for this. Did
Okay.
you put the Buffy episode on here?
Uh, the musical one?
Yes.
Yes, I did.
I'm going to give you that one. I'm going to give you
Okay,
that one
great.
and I'll sub in my honorable mention Buffy episode. The episode is titled The Body and it is when Joyce Summers passes away. It is so just gut wrenching, right? And I'm already
Yeah.
I'm already crying.
It's a hard one because, and I did think about that, but um, the other one, for reasons I'll get into, hit me really hard too.
Yeah.
But that's such a hard one because it's not demons, it's not
It's
vampires, it's not anything Buffy can do anything about.
yeah, it's just reality. I
And
specifically
that's,
noted it's just a very human episode.
yeah, and that's like the hardest thing for Buffy, I think.
Well,
It's
yeah,
like not
because
only am I losing my mother, but there is nothing, there's no
right.
books Giles can pull out, there's no spell Willow can do, there's nothing I can kill. We're
And
just gonna be sobbing for this episode.
I think another like really tricky part, right? They have Anya with them at that point. And I
Yeah,
mean, she's been a demon for, you know, all her life, pretty much, right?
yeah,
And she's grappling with the idea that everyone is handling this so differently. And she's
yeah.
just trying to understand why. Why did it happen?
And everybody like Buffy not able to accept that it's happening, and
Right.
everybody else is like, Spike is like, I always loved her. She was always nice to me. It's like,
Right.
Spike, shut up.
Right. There was another moment that I feel like is very like kind of subtle and it just
Yeah.
kind of shifts everything. Um, when Buffy makes the 911 call, right?
Oh my God, yeah.
And she gives her CPR, and she says to the dispatch, she's like, she's cold, and then very like innocent, should I try and warm her up? She's cold. And then
Yeah.
the dispatch says specifically, the body is cold, like just kind of solidifying at that moment.
Yeah.
That's not her anymore. You know what I mean? God, I hate this. I was making this list and just crying because I'm like, oh, it puts you like right
Yeah.
back in it. Oh,
Yeah. I just thought this would be like, an
just a fun
interesting,
time.
not a fun
You're
time, but just
sick.
more so an interesting thing to talk about. And
Yeah.
it does
Just have a good
hit
sob
emotionally,
fest about it.
especially when you think about some of these shows, i- you don't expect this.
Right.
Buffy, you expect it
Yeah.
because Buffy is more, I almost said realistic,
Yeah,
more,
all them demons and vampires and all that.
it's a
Height.
more um serious show. Everything else
Yes.
is like Futurama is like you're having uh, a giggle fit and then all of a sudden bam.
Yeah.
And How I Met Your Mother is 1 minute you're laughing about the pineapple and then bam, Marshall's dad dies, you know?
Yeah. I think the very human episodes of Buffy were always the ones that got me much more, right?
Yeah,
Because it does go into the vulnerability that Buffy is not used to, right?
yeah,
And this was another good one in the sense that I mean Buffy is still basically a kid at that point, you
yeah.
know?
I mean,
Like I think she was just in
I think the
college. I think
problem
that was at
is,
that point or just stopped going, one of them.
unfortunately, she's never allowed to be. And so
Right,
when
exactly.
reality hits her, it's suddenly she's a kid.
Right, because I mean, she doesn't know who. Number one,
Yeah.
who knows how to deal with that?
Nobody, you
Right,
can't deal with that. And but then it really solidifies like after all of a sudden she has to pay bills. All of a
right.
sudden she has to make sure her and Dawn have food, and it's like,
Her already
um,
very weird life changes even
yeah,
more dramatically.
it's like everybody prepared me to kill vampires. No one prepared me to be a person.
Right. Okay. So, what was that? Was that four? Was that four?
uh, I think that was
So we're
four.
you're on to three. Let's get
Okay,
into your number three.
okay. My number three, I think, is an episode people forget about, but hit me really hard.
Okay.
Another, there's a theme I said. Another comedy that just ripped me apart in an episode. Do you remember Scrubs? Did you watch Scrubs?
I watched Scrubs casually. Yes,
I loved that show. I watched it like every episode, I'm pretty sure.
I
Um,
believe that of you.
if you if you watch Scrubs, chances are your favorite character was Dr. Cox, who was
Fair.
like the house character, but funny.
Damn,
Uh,
drag you, Lori. I guess.
um, so in Scrubs, I don't know how much of it you remember,
Mm,
but Dr. Cox had this ex-wife who he's kind of on again, off again with. He was in love with her, but they had a complicated relationship. She had a brother,
okay.
and the brother was played by Brendan Fraser.
Okay.
And Dr. Cox adored this man. His name, Brendan Fraser's character was named Ben,
Okay.
and you would think that he was Dr. Cox's brother. He loved Ben so much. and Ben was such a funny guy. You know Brendan Fraser, he's
Mm-hmm.
hilarious. He's a
Right.
hilarious man. He pretty much played
Love him.
himself.
Right.
He was very lovable, very funny. Well, if I remember right, it was cancer that he got.
Oh.
And there was like I think 2 episodes to do with this.
Mm.
And you know, the whole time Ben's joking around. Like
Sure.
nothing's wrong with him. You watch it and you're thinking there's nothing wrong with this guy. He's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Second episode comes in
Mm-hmm.
and the whole episode Dr. Cox is going through
Okay.
and he's like preparing for his son's birthday. And I might be wrong, but if I remember right, I think he named the kid after Ben.
Damn.
I think I might be wrong. But anyways, he's preparing for his son's birthday. He's getting all the stuff. He's doing everything at the hospital. And he's all excited for his son's birthday. He's all excited for Ben to be there.
Mm-hmm. Bro is
And
going
then
through it.
the it's the switch flips.
Uh-huh.
It's like the episode's almost over. You're like, what is happening? Like, why is everything weird? Dr. Cox goes in for his son's birthday party,
Okay.
and he turns and he sees JD, and JD's in a
Mm.
suit, and he says, "What are you doing here?" And JD says, "Where do you think you are right now?"
Mm.
And it was Ben's funeral, and I don't know why it hit me so hard, but it did,
Yeah. I mean,
because
yeah.
it was another one of those things where you think it's one different episode, and
You don't
then,
like it that when
oh
they
my
one-two
God,
punch you,
I
is what it
don't.
is.
I don't. And like he was such like I'm talking about him like he's a real person. He
Mm.
was such a wonderful guy and so funny and like acted like nothing was wrong with him, and then you're thinking, "Oh, he's getting better.
Right.
He's gonna go to the birthday party," and there is no birthday party.
When in reality, it's probably just Dr. Cox, like, lying to himself, doing whatever he needs to cope with the reality that things aren't going
Yeah,
well.
because he can't face the fact that he's losing Ben.
Right.
And it hits him harder than anyone, even Jordan, his wife. Like
Yeah.
it hits him so hard. And like the other hard part is the episode after that, which I guess I'll place as my honorable mention.
Mm.
Um, the episode after that, because JD, if you watch the show, idolizes Dr. Cox.
Mm-hmm.
In JD's mind, Dr. Cox is what you need to be if you're going to be a doctor. That's who he aspires to be.
Sure.
And so Dr. Cox can do no wrong, but it hits him so hard that he shows up to the hospital to operate on people. He's fucking wasted.
Mm-hmm.
And JD is faced with having to see him as a person
Right.
with flaws for the first time ever. And this is like seasons in.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a it's a hard episode to deal with,
Sure.
especially when like the moment JD goes, "Where do you think you are right now?" I realized and I started bawling, and then it was the funeral.
Mm.
So that was my number three. What's your
Another
number three?
another 1-2 puncher. My number
Yeah.
3 might feel like something that should probably be my number 1, but no.
Mhm.
My next two after this, they deserve their places.
Yeah.
Um my number 3 is the finale of The Office. We which is
Oh
funny
yeah.
enough. We talked about it for different reasons. It's not so much that it's sad. It's just hard, right?
To say goodbye. Yeah.
To yesterday. No.
Oh my God. And Speaking of the finale of The Office,
Yeah.
that's the only time someone has ever made me cry by saying that's what she said.
Right. Oh my god, I know. I was just like there's just so many little moments or like
Yeah.
uh sometimes I wish you realized you were in the good old days,
Oh my God, yeah.
when
Andy, that
you
was
were
the only
younger.
time I
I
liked
know.
Andy.
I know.
It
I
was
was
that
just
last
like,
episode.
"Oh, oh." And then Creed's little
Yeah.
speech at the end before he gets
Oh
taken
my
away.
God. I love
Dwight
Creed. Creed.
Dwight saying Pam is his best friend. I'm like,
Oh my
"Stop."
God.
Dwight's
So
like emotional growth throughout the show is one of my like favorite unsung things, right? Because
yeah,
he
I
just
could
starts out
do
as
a
such an and
I
then
I could do a whole video essay on
yeah.
Dwight's growth. He has the most growth I've ever seen in a
Mhm.
show ever,
I mean,
and
even
people don't
more
talk
so than
about it.
Michael. I know they like intentionally
Yeah,
made him like so ugh, and then they like piece by
yeah,
piece kind of redeemed him, right? But
yeah,
Dwight kind of it was such a it was a slow burn for him that
yeah.
he just kind of became I don't want to say more human, but very much so more human,
More
more
human, yeah, he
emotionally
was
connected.
definitely like a robot in the
Yeah,
beginning.
more connected to his emotions by the end of the series that you were like, "Oh."
Yeah,
Everything was just I don't know.
it
When
was,
he, just went through the list, do I have a good relationship with my subordinates? And then he just says all
yeah.
these sweet
Do
things.
I
I'm like,
have a good
"Stop."
relationship with my coworkers? Well, first of all, I don't have coworkers, I have subordinates.
Yeah. I'm
But
like,
Pam, my best friend.
"Oh, just hurts
Ugh,
my little heart." It's such a
yeah.
sweet episode and and Michael showing up to be Dwight's best man.
Oh
Oh,
my God, that broke me. Like,
yeah.
Michael, you came. That's what she said.
That's what
I
she
cry
said.
every
Literally.
single time.
Literally.
Every time.
Oh. And then Pam taking the
Oh
picture
my God,
off the wall. I'm
the
like,
picture, yeah.
oh, there's
She
just so
she
many
was
like little memories they pack
she was
into that last episode.
fake fired in the first episode for stealing, and then
Mhm.
she was quote unquote actually fired in the
Right.
last episode for the severance pay because Dwight wanted them to get severance pay.
That's his best friend. He got to look
Yeah.
out for them.
But then she stole from the office. She stole
Mhm.
that painting.
She did. It wasn't post-it notes. It was a
Oh
painting.
my God. How about Phyllis?
Oh my
That
god.
that makes me cry every time. Everyone says Stanley Hudson's a mean old grump, but would a
Did
mean
mean
old
old
grump
grump
make
do
this?
this?
It's me.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I can like just replay that whole episode in my
Oh
head.
my God. Well, you
Oh,
can probably replay the whole show. We've watched it so many
yeah,
times.
yeah, that's true.
Uh,
But yeah, that's one of my. It's not emotionally damaging, but it's still emotional.
it's still
It's still
emotional,
sad.
yeah.
It's still saying goodbye. For me, it's saying goodbye to my friends until I restart it.
Yeah, until you start it all over,
Yeah,
until you get to the, so you come to me, grasshopper.
literally, literally.
Yeah,
So that is
restart it like
my
immediately.
I used to. I used to. That used to
Yeah,
be the only show I watched.
I know,
I would just watch
I
The
know, I
Office over
remember.
and over and over.
I remember that was the best show to put on in the background.
Yes,
Go to
for
sleep to.
anything. That was
Yeah,
like not even joking. Years, years. That was
yeah,
it.
it was. It still would be if it was on Netflix. I guess we have it on recorded on YouTube TV.
We have it recorded on YouTube TV, and I have the DVDs because
Yeah,
I can't risk not being able to watch The Office if I absolutely want to.
yeah.
Anyway, number two. What's yours?
My number two. Okay, here come the waterworks again.
Oh no.
Um, this is gonna be one that I think people aren't expecting. Justice League Unlimited, I think
Okay.
it was at that point because at first it was just Justice League animated and then became unlimited. Um, there was an episode.
Hmm.
I'm sure people who've watched the show remember this or probably know what I'm gonna say. There was an episode where the Joker teams up with the Card Gang, I think they were called. They basically modeled their whole lives after playing cards. It was King, Jack, Queen, and Ace.
Okay.
Well, Ace is this like child. I don't know how old she is. I think she's like 11.
Okay.
The rest of them, I don't know if they have powers or if they just use technology, but Ace has powers.
Mhm.
Reality altering powers. And this plays out. It's another sucker punch, 1-2
Mhm.
punch. This plays out. The Joker's got a brand new scheme, and the Justice League has to shut him down. He's in Las Vegas. He's using Ace to like. I I'm not sure if I remember exactly what he was using Ace to do, but he was gonna have a big master scheme, and I think there were bombs planted and everything. And the Justice League faces off with uh, the Card Gang,
Mhm.
and all the while Batman is trying to locate Ace because he can tell that she's a big part of the Joker's dumbass plan.
Sure.
And the Joker keeps making jokes, as he does, and he keeps coming on the TV screens and being like, "Oh, but what's this and this?" And he keeps alluding to Ace.
Mhm.
And I really wish I could remember what the big plan was, because obviously, it never happened. It never came to be. Batman finally tracks her down,
Okay.
and he's understood this whole time that those powers are killing her
Sure.
because he's Batman and he's all knowing.
That's
But
right.
he's
It goes.
understood.
It goes. It
He's
goes. God, Batman.
God, Batman, Jesus. So he's figured it out. Everybody else is just like, oh, this is another one of Joker's dumbass schemes. Let's fight the card gang. Batman's like, I gotta find Ace.
Uh-huh.
And I think he says that several times, and they're like, okay, I guess. Um, and she's just doing shit. I think it's basically because she's going through the stages of grief,
Sure.
and that's why she's in the anger and doing
Sure.
all the anger stuff, and then denial and everything. And then Batman finally reaches her,
Okay.
and she's on a swing set, and you realize like it's not something you think about because it's superheroes fighting supervillains, and then you start to realize, oh, this is a kid.
Right.
This is a kid thrust in the middle of all this. This isn't her fault.
Mhm.
And you're like, what's Batman gonna do? And he's not gonna do anything because as a kid, he goes up to her,
Mhm.
and she's like, hey, and he's like, hey, and she's like, I'm dying. And he said, yeah, I know. And she says, will you please stay with me until I die?
What are they doing to children? Why would they do this?
It's so fucked up. It's so fucked up. It's like, oh my God. Like, you realize in that moment, like, this is a kid.
Right.
Like, whatever the Joker's doing, who
And
fucking
we'll say for the
cares?
most part, this is a kid that probably at the same time that the people that are watching the show can identify with,
Yeah,
right?
and it's just like,
Like that's that's an unfortunate reality check.
it's just fucked up. It's like, you're like, oh my God, what's Batman gonna do? And Batman's like, this is a child.
Right. Not beat it
And,
up. That'd be a
and
start.
the fact that she wasn't like, I'm gonna attack you now, she's just like, will you please just stay with me?
Yeah.
And then it hurts so much more when you realize, what does Batman name his dog?
Right. I know.
Ace.
Ace. Right.
And it's just, oh my
Ugh.
God, why did you do that to me?
I'm just imagining a bunch of sobbing like 10-year
Oh my
olds.
God. am 100% sure everyone who watches that
Yeah.
cries. And it's just I was watching superheroes fight supervillains. What?
I didn't sign up for this.
No. It's like this is just an 11-year-old and she's just scared
Right.
and she doesn't know what to do.
Of
And
course.
Batman doesn't know what to do. He's like, "What do you want me to do?" And she's
Hmm.
like, "Please just hold my hand and stay with me until I die."
You mean
And
she
then
didn't want the Joker there to comfort her?
no, and then it just kind of the episode just kind of ends with him sitting on the swing next to her and
Yeah.
holding her
I mean,
hand.
what else
And
do you do with that?
oh,
Especially on a kids show.
that hurt me so much. That hurt me so much.
Yeah.
All of these episodes hurt me to the point like all I have to do is talk about it and I'm
Yeah.
crying.
Yeah.
Oh,
God, I don't want to talk about my last two.
well, you got that. What's your number two?
Okay. I have to decide what order I want to do these two because they are
Okay,
related.
are they?
Yeah. Uh
Oh,
I feel like one is the obvious pivotal number one, but
okay,
there's the other kind of damages me personally more. So I'm going to do it
okay,
in my personal order, but probably
okay.
everyone
Here
else
you're
would swap them.
okay.
Doctor Who, The End of Time Part
Oh
1 and
no.
2.
Oh no,
When
yeah.
David Tennant regenerates.
I
When
had a feeling.
he hits you, when he hits you at the end of his episode right before he regenerates with I don't want to go, bestie, we didn't want you to go either.
Oh, I hated that. I hated
Oh,
when he said that. Raggedy Man, don't say that.
because honest to God, I'm sitting there and I'm like, going, it's David Tennant. David Tennant is like Doctor Who's number one fanboy, right?
He's Doctor Who. As far as no offense to all
Literally,
the other doctors, that's my Doctor Who, and that's
literally,
not even the first one I saw. That's
literally,
just my Doctor Who.
literally. He is Doctor Who as
Oh,
far as I'm concerned. Um, I mean, it felt too real. It felt too
it,
real
it
because
was too real.
on top
I
of
don't.
that,
I feel like that wasn't scripted. I feel like he was just saying, "I don't want to go."
right, but like the
Oh,
part of me that also is just devastating because it wasn't just I fucking hate this. It wasn't just
yeah,
David Tennant's last episode. It was ah,
yeah,
it was also like Russell T Davies' last episode. And he's
yeah,
the one who brought it back. Like after, it kind of
yeah,
tanked and went away. He was, the one like gunning to bring this show back and made it the like amazing show that it
yeah,
was at that time. Like no hate to Stephen Moffat and whatever. I don't know if somebody
yeah,
took over after that. But there was just something so special, right? About the
yeah,
Russell T Davies years, right? The companions
yeah,
were amazing. The episodes, there were more episodes of Doctor Who that I could have included. I
yeah.
could have made a whole top 5 list with episodes of Doctor Who. But
That show just hits you.
oh
It
my
just
god.
hits you.
I remember I was in college. I think I was in my freshman year of college the first time I started watching through Doctor Who. Like from 9 through 10, right? Like the beginnings of 11. Um
Yeah,
And I just remember so many instances of just being like, just
yeah,
crying because something affected me, but nothing, nothing got me like the end of time part 1 and 2. Just going
David.
back and saying, Wilf, Wilf, when he has to,
Oh
oh
my
God,
God. Yeah,
when he sees Wilf for the last time as 10. Oh,
yeah.
I'm like, and he can't see Donna again.
No, David Tennant. Um, again, no offense to the other doctors
Right.
because they're all great. They're all great
Yes.
actors. I always loved the Fourth Doctor. I always loved Eccleston. I fucking adore David Tennant.
Yes.
Um, he humanized that character
Oh my god.
so much. The fact that he like kept joking around and being like da 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 da, and then having his moments where he realizes he fucks up,
Mhm.
where like losing Rose hurts him so much that he forgets that he ever said like nobody is unimportant,
Yeah.
and he tells someone they're not important, and then he realizes by the end of it like oh
Yeah.
my God, like yes they are. Um, but it's the fact that before that you just kind of think about the resurrections as it's a fun little surprise. Who do we get
Regenerations, but
next?
whatever.
Regeneration. Well, I mean, but you think about it as like, oh, it's a fun little surprise,
That
and
was
then you're
not
like,
fun. I did not have fun.
and then you understand when he says, "I don't want to go." Oh, this is kind of like a death.
Yeah.
This isn't
I
just,
feel like
oh, who's next? It's he's still the doctor, but that's not him
yeah.
anymore.
And I feel like it was almost lighthearted between Eccleston and Tennant, right?
Yeah,
He did have another good line right before he regenerated.
yeah.
I can't remember it off the top of my head. I don't want to go is burned into my memory.
Oh my God.
I think it was like
David
I was
Tennant has so many
fantastic
moments
and so were
that,
you or whatever he says to
yeah,
Rose.
yeah, I think that was because I remember being like, oh, but like the humanizing moments, like when those people thought, oh, fuck you, essentially. I can't remember who they were, but and then they realized he was actually saving us from himself, and
Yeah.
he didn't scream, he didn't shout, and that was like the scariest part. And stuff
Uh-huh.
was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
that was a lot. But yeah, that hurt.
Yeah.
That hurt.
Oh. Yeah. So that's my number 2. Arguably for some people probably number 1, but my number 2 personally.
Probably.
I would say my 2 and 1 are tied to be honest, but
Yeah.
anyway. What is your number? Are you at number 1 now?
I'm at number one now.
Oh god. Okay, number
Um,
1. How are you
my
going to hurt
number
me this
one,
time?
my number one, I feel like a lot of people are gonna look at this and go like, why is that your number one? Like that wasn't that bad. No, I'm gonna explain to you why it was that bad. Arguably, in my opinion, because it all just kind of goes downhill after that, the last good and probably the best episode of Buffy, Once More with
Those I
Feeling.
think are fighting words, but yes, go on.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are because I'm still watching it. I still haven't really finished it, but
Uh-huh. So you're
I,
saying a
I'm
lot.
just I'm just at a point where I'm watching it and I'm just so mad at everybody. They're like the opposite of character developing. They're like character devolving. Like everyone's just getting worse.
I
Willow's getting worse.
don't
Xander's getting
entirely
stupider.
disagree, but
And it just frustrates me. It frustrates me to
yeah.
see Willow devolve so much and Xander do stupid shit. Anyways, um, once more with feeling. I'm sure you're all thinking, well, that's just a fun musical episode. Why is that your number one? Fuck you, first of all. Um, think about it. Think about the songs. Think about the subtleties. Everyone is just like, why isn't Buffy jumping for joy? She's alive again. We saved her from hell. Why isn't she dancing and singing, which she addresses? Give me something to sing about. Why isn't she super happy to be back? We're heroes. Oh my God. Do you think it's just this funny musical episode? Why is everyone singing? And that guy wants to marry Dawn.
Creepy.
because Dawn accidentally summoned him with some necklace or something like that.
Yes. She stole it from
Uh,
the magic box.
First of all, to start this episode off with Willow beginning her devolving by erasing Tara's memories,
Yeah.
every argument, to pretend like everything is just hunky. That's not normal.
No.
You can't do that. You can't grow as a couple if you just erase the arguments and pretend like they never happened. And um she has already been through so much with her own family, gaslighting her and like treating her like shit.
Uh huh.
And Willow is supposed to be the person she trusts.
Right.
And she finds out that Willow is erasing her memories.
Like, what a betrayal.
Oh my god. And she says it in her song Under My
Mm-hmm.
Spell reprise, I think they called it,
Yes.
because the first song was I'm Under Your Spell, because she's singing about how happy she is with Willow because she doesn't know Willow has been erasing all their arguments. And Dawn, I think at one point is like, "Oh, you're happy again," and she's like, "Oh, why
What the
why
hell are you
wouldn't I
talking
be?"
about? Yeah.
Yeah. Woo. And then she realizes like, "Oh, uh the person who I trusted to not do this is doing this, and like who do I trust now?"
Yeah.
And then you have Giles's stupid ass
Yeah.
who for some reason can't understand Buffy has no mom, Buffy has no dad, you are her father. And you have stepped up for her more than her parents did. Like, I love Buffy's mom, but Giles is the only one she could talk to about certain things, and
Right.
she always looked at him as a father, and I don't understand how he didn't see that. And for him to be like, I don't know what I'm doing here anymore, like, she doesn't need me anymore, and this is the moment she needs you the most, asshole.
Yes.
And he's just singing about how he needs to leave. He's standing in her way, and you're the only thing she needs right now. And poor Spike is just, I don't know what to do with these feelings
Right.
because I love her and she's stringing me along because she doesn't know how to deal with these feelings.
Right.
And she's looking at Spike like, oh, he's a bad guy. They're not going to talk to him. I can tell him what I'm dealing with. Buffy wasn't in hell, obviously. Why the fuck did they think she was in hell?
And I'm trying
Uh,
to remember. I I've thought about this since the last time we've talked about this episode because it comes up
yeah,
enough between us.
it does. I think about this
I
episode. This
want
is
to
the whole reason I wanted to
say,
do this.
yeah, I want to say one of the other times Buffy dies,
Yeah.
um, I think she does get trapped in some sort of hell dimension. I could be
I
wrong. I
vaguely
want to
remember
say
that,
that
but I,
that happened. So they assumed would be my guess that that's what happened again because she sacrificed herself for Dawn. And what do you expect? I guess.
yeah, but
It wasn't like it was a woohoo,
I don't remember if that other time, like, there was a specific reason they did something to send her there. Because, I mean, she slays
well, I think it had
monsters, like,
something to do with the master, I think had something to do with it.
yeah.
So,
It wasn't just, oh yeah, Buffy's going to hell whenever she dies. Like,
yeah.
that's not
There I
how
do
that,
think you're correct that there was something else going on
and
top of it.
it irritated the fuck out of me that they thought, obviously she's in hell.
Yeah.
And it was just, they couldn't cope with
Instead, they brought her
her,
back to hell.
yeah, like, they brought her directly into hell. Like,
Mhm.
when they brought her back, the Sunnydale was like the entire city was like under attack and on fire and shit because they couldn't cope with her not being there. And I don't think they told the Watchers that she was dead. They just pretended like she was still alive, so they didn't send another Slayer. And so it was just chaos. And so she's thinking, why am I in hell now? And she's freaking out, and they're just like, oh, yeah, obviously she went to hell. Anyways, she tells Spike because she thinks he's the only one she can tell. And Spike has to deal with that, thinking, like, oh, I think she loves me, but then I think she doesn't. And so that's a thing.
Mm-hmm. An ongoing thing.
Yeah. Frustrating thing. I think Spike deserved better.
I think so too. They that relation. Listen, I between Angel and between Spike, I will always be
Yeah,
Spike ride or die.
same.
Are there episodes I wish I could erase of that
Yeah,
relationship? Absolutely.
of course. And I think um the actor himself said he wishes that never happened.
Yep. Yep.
'Cause he had trauma from his own life
Yep.
involving that.
Yep.
Um, but there's that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's give me something to sing about.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, my friends don't understand why I'm not dancing and singing, and just give me something to sing about, because she's like, I'm in hell now. I was in heaven. I was free. This poor girl never got to be a person. She
Just
never got to experience the life that she wanted. She never got to go to high school. It wasn't actually going to high school, it was maintaining a secret identity.
right.
And
Skate
everyone just
by and do everything she's obligated to do.
yeah, everyone just expected everything of her, and no one gave her a moment to breathe. And when she finally got that moment and she finally reunited with her mother, they just ripped her out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment she says it in the song and it cuts to Willow, I started sobbing. I'm like,
It's
yeah,
like a gigantic punch in the gut.
yeah. I'm just because I think about this fucking episode and I'm like, oh my God. Like she had to have been reunited with her mom, and like she was finally free of everything, no responsibilities, no horrors, no doubt, no fear, no how am I going to pay these bills? How am I going to take care of Dawn? How am I going to be a person? And no people demanding everything from her.
Right.
And she's just like, I don't want to live anymore. And
Or
Spike,
again, I mean, that's
yeah,
her third life. We'll say. I
yeah, and
think.
then it might even be her fourth,
Yeah,
technically.
I can't remember if there
I
was. I
think
know the one.
technically she died for the first Slayer, but it wasn't a real death. I don't know when she had to see the first Slayer.
Yeah.
I don't know if they count that as a death. Especially since she says, "Hey, I died twice" in the song and not
Oh
three
yeah.
times.
True. True. Because I'm like,
But
we had Kendra and we had Faith, right?
yeah,
That came back.
yeah. And then Spike coming in at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Spike, who everyone's like, he's just a cold, unfeeling vampire, comes in and is like, you have to keep living.
So one of them is living. Mm-hmm.
Because that's all you can do. There's no right or wrong. all you could do is just live. Anyways, that episode hurt me.
Yeah,
Probably more than most people, because most people probably thought, "Oh, haha, fun musical." But when you think about the subtext, it hurts me a lot.
sure.
What's
It
your
was
number one?
definitely supposed to.
Yeah,
Um, my number one. Like I said, Doctor Who related.
yeah,
Most people would probably swap it,
yeah.
but my number one is Doomsday, which you
Doomsday.
you referenced. When Rose
Oh,
gets shut into the alternate dimension.
yeah. Losing Rose
Ugh.
and the hands on the wall.
Yeah. Yeah. And let me tell you, I can tell you exactly when it starts. I mean, of course, it starts a little bit when they're, they're on the other side of the wall and I just can't. I can't do it. Can't do it.
Yeah,
Shan't, won't. Um when he, holograms in and he explains how he's doing it and da da da. And this man says, "I'm burning up a sun just to say goodbye." Oh my God. It starts there. And I just, the gut wrenching moment when she
yeah,
tells him that she loves him and he doesn't get to say it back before
yeah.
before he fades away. Oh my God.
Yep.
You just can't. You just can't.
Uh-huh.
I like remember watching that episode and just sitting there. Just sitting there after it happened and just being like,
Oh
because
my God.
I mean, there to me, that is one of the just ultimate love stories, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
that was a lot.
I
That was
just
a lot.
that's another one I could just see the whole thing, the whole haha, it's Bad Wolf Bay, ha ha ha, that's where you
Yeah.
showed up and
That show
them
has a way of subtly letting you know that you're about to get your heart ripped
yeah,
out. And then when you realize it and you think about all the hints they dropped at you, like, oh, fuck you.
yeah. And
Fuck you,
then,
actually.
Rose catching him up on what's happened, in this world,
Yeah.
that her mom is pregnant, um
Yeah.
Mickey's being Mickey, right? And there, she's working for Torchwood now, and then
If she had just left Mickey out, he could have said, I love you.
right, right. Well, he also
Fucking
hemmed and
Mickey.
hawed. I was so mad at this man. He hemmed and he hawed, and it was just another scenario of if you just got to the fucking point, my guy, you could have
Yeah.
said it. And then when it cuts to him back in the TARDIS and
Yeah.
you can just see him starting to say it and then he just does it.
And this is a man, the last of his species, at least he thinks so at that time,
Right. He's
who has
alone.
always felt alone. And with Rose, he didn't feel alone. And then suddenly he has to feel alone again.
Yep. And of course, as he's talking to her, he plays that down because that's her, concern that he'll be all alone again.
Yeah.
And he's like, trying to play it down, but no. Devastating, absolutely devastating. Um,
Absolutely devastating. Oh my God.
but yeah, it's just I loved them so much.
Yeah.
And there was no way saying goodbye to Rose Tyler was ever gonna be easy, but God did they have to make it so permanent.
No. Well, they had to because there was never any way he was actually going to say goodbye to her otherwise.
That's true. Okay.
He would
Okay.
never have done it ever.
Okay.
Like, he would never have stopped being he would have found a way to not regenerate.
Okay.
It would have, I know, but they had to. They had to.
I know, and it made for such good TV, but God, do I hate it.
It did. It did.
Okay, so
What?
Are you proud of yourself?
I mean, we had a good talk. We had
We had a good talk, but at what cost?
a cost. Well, that's why our next subject is happier. Okay, we had ourselves a good cry.
Did we? I
Uh,
don't feel good about that cry.
I just thought it'd be something interesting to talk about, and I do feel like it's not something you see a lot in top fives, and
I feel like it's
you
a
know,
very personal
it is a
list
very personal
because
list.
what gets everyone is going to be different.
Yeah, that's true. And plus, there are a lot of shows we haven't seen, and there are
I have another
lot of
honorable mention.
episodes that people might be more emotionally attached to. What's your honorable mention?
Uh The Last of Us, this one was a recent one.
Oh
I think
yeah,
it was like episode 3 or one of those. The one with
Nick
was it
Offerman.
Nick Offerman? Oh my god.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I remember my brother Addison talking to me about it and just being like, "That was so like well done.
Yeah.
I thought they weren't going to do it right, but that was so well done."
It was so good. It was so
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
And I don't think it made me cry the way the other ones made me cry, but it still made me cry.
yeah. I
Cuz
really need to.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I really need to give that game a fair shake. I think
You
when it
do.
came
At least
out,
the first one for sure.
well, when it came out, I was so zombied out.
Fair.
At that point, starting from Shaun of the Dead, we ended up with like Marvel Zombies.
Mm.
We had more zombie movies. We had more zombie games, Left 4 Dead, all this stuff. And then I'm supposed to, like, at that point, it's like 50 things. And then I'm supposed to care about The Last of Us, and I just
Yeah.
didn't want to play
And that
it.
for me, I was like, I didn't do like all of the zombie games and all of that. So I was like,
Yeah.
that was one of them I did play, and I sat and played it in pretty
Yeah.
much
I know
only a few
it's
sittings.
very beloved by a lot of people.
Mhm. So I would
And
say
it's a
yes.
it's a
I haven't played
PlayStation.
2, but for sure one fantastic game.
I have heard not great things about 2 from everybody. Um, it's also a PlayStation property, and I love everything PlayStation exclusive, so I do really need to.
A PlayStation girly.
I am a PlayStation girly. Sega abandoned me, and now it's coming back, so now I'm a Sega girly again. But
I know.
PlayStation filled the hole while Sega was gone.
Yes. And just making Sonic. Just Sonic after
Yeah,
Sonic.
yeah.
Okay. Top 5 cheer up shows. Let's go.
Top five cheer up shows. Let's cheer ourselves up with this list. You want me to go first? You want to go
I'll
first?
start. I'll start this time.
Okay. What's your number five?
My number 5. Number 5 is the IT
Number
crowd.
five.
And it's
Oh, the IT crowd.
it's lower on the list just cuz it's not as long as some of the other shows I picked,
Yeah.
but such a fantastic comedy. Um
God, I didn't even think
very
about that. That should have been on
very
my
geek,
list.
very nerdy culture. Lots of
And
little touches of it throughout the show. Um just great. Just great. There's nothing bad I can say about it.
I love the IT crowd. I love it so much. Those guys, amazing. You can tell they all enjoyed making that
Mhm.
show too.
Yeah. I hope so. I don't want to hear it if they didn't.
Well, I mean, obviously they
Well,
reunited
I was about
on
to say
Richard
that's true.
Ayoade's show,
Yeah. They did.
and
So at
and
at
then
the
Chris
very
O'Dowd,
least, They liked
broke
each
that.
other.
Yeah. Well, they also came back for another episode. For
Yeah.
that last episode, they
Yep.
came back later, and I think
True.
that was years later too,
True.
to wrap it up.
We love that.
And everybody seems to enjoy Matt Berry, so
Yes.
in everything he does.
Yes. All right. What's your number 5?
My number 5 is going to be something no one has heard of before because you know
What
me.
else is new with you?
I watch and consume things people have never heard of.
Mm.
Um, but I think everyone should watch the show. I don't know if it's streaming on anything because it's like impossible to find.
So you're
Um,
giving a recommendation of a show that's just real
I
difficult
mean,
to find.
should you ever see the DVDs
Uh huh.
anywhere, or maybe it's on Tubi? I don't know. I don't
Okay.
think
Fair enough.
so. It was on something a while back, but I don't remember what it was on.
Okay.
Um, it's called My Boys,
Oh my god, that was on
and
TBS.
yeah, it was such a good show, such a good show.
I
Um,
think I think more people have heard of that show than you think. It was pretty popular.
I think it ended up with 3 seasons or maybe 2.5,
Yeah.
but it was highly underrated in my opinion. I used to love it. It used to be on something, maybe
It
Netflix,
was on Netflix.
and I used to just sit there and watch that show
I
like all the
remember.
time. I was like, I need to watch My Boys. I want to watch more My Boys.
I
And now I think
remember.
I have the first season on DVD.
Maybe.
Um, but like you can't even find it on Amazon to buy the DVDs. Maybe on
That's
eBay.
that's weird.
Yeah. Like every time I look on Amazon, I see it is like unavailable. I'm like, okay, fuck you. Um, anyways, it's basically I forget her name. I want to say something like Harper or Piper, but I'm probably wrong. I'm
No
probably not even
idea.
close. She's a sports writer. The main character is a sports writer,
Yes.
and she's a real guy's gal. She's one of the boys, and she hangs out with them and plays poker with them and smokes cigars with them, and they drink beer. And she's real into baseball. She's a sports writer. And then they like introduce a new friend, and she's like, "Oh, he's hot," but he's being introduced as a friend. And like, what do I do in this dynamic? Like, we were all just the guys, and now I'm
I
realizing
am
like
the
I want,
girl with the
yeah, I
guys.
am the girl with the guys. And so she kind of struggles through the show with not wanting to be not wanting to change herself just to get a guy and be like more feminine, but
hmm
also not knowing how to navigate trying to start a relationship, and she's being too subtle about it. Like it
Sure.
seems like she just wants to be buddies, but it's such a good show. I love it. Um, Jim Gaffigan was in that show randomly, but
That's
yeah,
so weird. I didn't know that he was in that.
he was her brother
Oh,
in the
okay.
show. But it was such a good show. I liked that show a lot. And sometimes I'll see the other actors randomly in other things. I'm like, my voice. But yeah, I it's just such a nice show to just kind of sit. It's not like um you don't it's not like intense at any moments. It's just a show to just kind of sit and relax and watch.
Sure.
But yeah, what's your
My number
next one?
4?
Your
My
number
number?
4.
Number 4. Number 4 is
Number
30
4.
Rock. 30 Rock.
Oh, 30 Rock.
I feel like my list is such a basic bitch list, but 30 Rock, I
No, it's
love
a
it.
good list.
Um
It is a good show.
it's kind of like you were saying. It's not serious. There's so many funny
Yeah,
moments. It's
yeah,
it's another one that you can just kind of put on in the background, right? And some things might connect episode to episode, but not really, right? You
yeah.
can just kind of put on whatever, start at a random episode, and it's just funny. It's just a
It's
fun
full of
time.
hilarious moments like
Mhm.
Weird Al, Normal Al,
Normal
Tracy.
Alley, like what? I love it.
They like talk about Weird Al like he's an entity, a god.
He
They're
is.
like scared of him.
Ask
They're scared of him.
ask the writers of Weird.
Yeah,
He basically
that's
was.
true. Yeah, that's true.
But
That was
I
such
just
a good
love it.
show.
I love 30
Yeah,
Rock. It's so funny. All the actors really like worked well together. Just,
yeah.
uh Jenna Baloney.
And a baloney. Right,
My
my
baloney.
baloney.
It's just
Very
there's so
proud,
many
like a
little
P Corp.
there's just so many little like funny moments, funny lines that I will
Yeah.
still say just like randomly that you know, uh
There are
it
some
has to be one
moments
of mine.
that just kind of can go unnoticed, but when you notice them, they're like the funniest fucking things. Like I
Yeah.
still crack up when Jenna like just appears behind Kenneth and he goes,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, vampire," and that cracks me up every time.
And
You
yeah,
better
there's
be
just
nice to me before I show you the
the
back of
back of
my
my
hand.
hand. Please be nice to me. Oh, there's just it's just one of those. There's so many little quippy things throughout that you're like, oh, it just sticks with
Yeah,
you, and you're just saying them, in your normal life. So that's my number 4.
I love that show. My number four
Mm,
is another show that I feel like people either don't know or don't talk about.
okay,
Caroline in the City.
that's just because the people that would be talking about it are about 50 years old.
How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? Caroline in the City is
Uh huh.
another show where like it's you can just sit there and watch it. It's not
Sure.
intense at any moments, and it's a funny show. It's a sitcom about a cartoonist, and she basically has it's kind of like a Kathy kind of uh
Chocolate.
comics. Yeah, chocolate, chocolate, chocolate. Um, it's kind of like that. The way her comic is set up is like about her life, and it's little funny goofs and gaffs and everything. But the show is about her. Excuse me, sorry. It's about her and her colorist and like her relationship with a man named Dell, her like boyfriend, who I think they end up breaking up and becoming friends, and her neighbor. And it's just a funny little sitcom, kind of a basic sitcom, but whatever. I love it.
Hey, it does. It's a cheer up show. It doesn't have to be that deep. It can be a silly little
Yeah,
sitcom.
yeah. But that's my number four.
All right, number 3 for me is I feel like once again gonna be predictable. Parks and Recreation.
Oh
Number 1,
yeah,
it just holds a fond little place in my heart because I did work for a Parks and Rec department,
yeah,
and
that's true.
it's just it was relatable, right? When people come in to complain about things that you have nothing to do with. Number 1. So it
Yeah,
was just a fun little moment. Um but again, it's just another good cast of people who
yeah.
worked very well together that have these little quippy moments. I love Aubrey Plaza,
Oh
of
my God,
course.
Aubrey Plaza, the star of the show. Do you know how you love me because you never have to deal with anyone and I always send them away? Well, I've always been scheduling them for March 31st because I didn't think there was a March 31st. Oh
Oh my
man,
god, yes. So her and Ron Swanson, favorites.
I love them.
Um,
I
and
looked up your symptoms. It says you have network
oh my
connectivity
god,
problems.
and the fact that he just
Oh,
delivered that so perfectly, it got put in the. I think it got put in the show, didn't it?
yeah, and it was
Yeah.
ad-libbed.
Oh my
It was
god,
ad-libbed.
it was so good.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah. So Parks and Rec is my number 3.
Okay. My number three, I feel like is a little predictable if you know me. If I am having the shittiest day,
Uh huh.
I'm having a horrible day,
Uh huh.
and I just need something stupid on. I just need something incredibly stupid to make me laugh like I'm fucking 5 again. I put on Beavis and Butthead. And I feel like I feel the judgment, but it's just a silly, stupid thing. They're so stupid, and like if I'm having a horrible day, I just watch them be stupid and it cracks me up, and then I forget why I had a horrible day.
Hey,
Uh, nothing,
that's a good enough reason.
nothing makes me laugh harder than them being explained to like, oh, like just do this, and they're like, can you like shut up? And then they spend a whole episode doing the stupidest fucking roundabout way of what they wanted to do, and they never accomplish anything.
Love them.
Um, my favorite episode is always the Dream On episode where they keep falling asleep on the couch. And then uh Beavis wakes up at one point and he's like they keep having these dreams and the dreams are funny as hell. And then Beavis wakes up at one point, he's like, hey Butthead, I dreamed that we went to school. Does that mean like we don't have to go? And Butthead's like, I think so. Was I there? And he was like, yeah. He was like, okay, cool. And then they just go back to
I
sleep.
wish that was how it worked though.
I do too. I think about it every time I have to go to work. I'm like, I dreamt I went to work. Can
Yeah,
I
isn't
just
that
not
enough?
go?
Isn't that enough? Didn't I do the work for today? Um,
Can you just pay me for that?
right. I dreamed about it, so that means I get paid for my dream time. Thank you. My favorite Beavis and Butthead moment is
Yeah.
gonna be so predictable, but
Okay.
it was when it came back and they're
Yeah.
watching Dynamite, I
Oh yeah.
think.
We're watching Dynamite. So they're
Yeah.
sitting there and they always have to watch the music videos and they critique it or whatever. And they're watching Dynamite, BTS. And Butthead immediately starts ripping into it. And Beavis is like, he says something like, oh, I don't know, it's kind of cool, it's kind of catchy or whatever. And Butthead's like, what did you say? And Beavis is like, uh, he said something about, he knows their names. He
Yes.
knows who they are. He
That's
said
my
something about
favorite.
sugar. He's like, oh, yeah, yeah, you know what? You're right. It's stupid. It's because, like, sugar, he doesn't have the positive attitude is J-Hope, and at no point in the song do they say their names. And Butthead's like, why do you know their names, Beavis? And then Butthead leaves the room. And when Butthead leaves the room, Beavis is twerking on the couch to the song, and Butthead
How
comes back.
relatable.
He's like, Beavis, I'm not disappointed. I'm just, oh my god. And Beavis is like, shut up, Butthead. And he's like, Beavis, I wish I'd come back and you were taking a dump on the couch. Anything but this.
Listen, we welcome Beavis in
We
Army. We
welcome
do.
Beavis. We do. Um, I love him. I always knew Beavis was my star.
Yeah, that's
Um,
right. He's the star.
he also another favorite moment that I always go back to if I'm having a really bad day. Another episode I put on is choking. Is when they're eating chicken
Yeah.
while they're watching TV, and Butthead starts choking on chicken, and Beavis is like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" And Butthead's trying to tell him what's happening, and he starts choking him. And he's like, "Oh, you're choking on chicken." And he's like, "Yeah, yes." And he's like, "What do you want me to do about it?" He's like, "Call 911, dumbass." So he calls 911, and they're like, "Is your friend like choking right now?" He's like, "Well, he's not really my friend." And they're like, "Sir, please." And so they tell him he needs to perform the Heimlich maneuver. And they're like, any restaurant would have this sign to tell you how to do it. And so he leaves, and Butthead is just choking to death the whole time. And he keeps forgetting what he's doing. And like, he ends up buying fucking nachos at the 7-Eleven. And like, Stewart is like, hey, where's Butthead? And he's like, oh yeah. And he goes to Burger World where they work, and he gets the wrong fucking sign. And he comes back and like,
No.
Butthead is almost dead. And he's like, hey, Butthead, there's a sign in the bathroom that says we have to wash our hands. And
That's
he
what I was gonna
trips.
say. Did he get the hand washing
He trips over Butthead and it saves him.
sign?
And tripping over him does the Heimlich maneuver for him.
Oh,
And
well,
it's
that's
just,
good.
I love that episode. Anyways, that was
Okay,
my number three.
my number two,
Okay.
less predictable, I think, than the others, but still pretty predictable. Bob's
Yeah.
Burgers.
Bob's
Listen, I
Burgers.
love Linda so much. She is
Me
like
too.
perhaps my favorite character in the whole show. One of my favorite characters of all times. Of all
I
time.
relate. I relate so much to Bob and Linda at the same time.
I aspire to be her as a person, you know? I love
Think
her.
you are? I think so. You do things, and I'm like, that's so Linda.
This is so Linda of you. Anyway, I love her. I love their whole little family. I love that whole town. Um,
Yeah,
I could watch that when I'm having like the worst time, and it will always make me laugh.
yeah. Teddy is my favorite. I love
Teddy, I
Teddy.
love Teddy.
Yeah, I love him so much.
If I don't value my time, Bob, nobody's going to. That
My therapist says if I don't value my time, nobody's gonna.
did
Don't
you
feed
get
a
it?
guy a SpongeBob.
Don't feed a guy a sponge. Or the moment that will make
Yeah.
me just cry laughing is the one of the Christmas episodes when they're going
Yeah.
to get the tree. And Louise and Jean and Tina set up the Santa trap with the
Yeah.
cookies and the little loop. And so Teddy reaches his hand through the loop to get the cookies out of the fridge. And the man
He's
does
just
so
spinning around.
the man does so
He's
many
so
spins.
frantic. He's
And then
so frantic and afraid, and the fucking fridge falls on him.
the fridge falls on him.
And then Bob comes back. He's like, "Did you read my card?" Bob's
While
like,
the
"Daddy,
fridge
you're
is
trapped
still
under a
while
fridge."
the
He's like,
fridge
"Please
is
just
still
read
on
it."
him, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, "Please just read the card, Bob."
It's cute.
Oh
Oh
God,
my god. Yeah. So anyway,
I love
Bob's
Teddy.
Burgers.
Yeah. Okay, my number two, I think, is predictable again. If you know me, it's one of my two top two shows that are tied as my favorite show. It's Miami Vice. If I'm having a bad
I was
day,
waiting for that to
no,
show
I'm
up.
not. I'm chilling with my friend Crockett and my friend Tubbs, and we're kicking bad guy ass. I
Beautiful.
love that show. That's my comfort show. I can watch it all day, every
I
day.
know. I know you can.
I love Miami Vice. It's on Tubi for anyone who's interested. Watch Miami Vice. It's the best.
It's
Okay,
got
yeah,
good
that's my
music.
number two.
It's
It
got good
it
music.
has
There's no doubt
well
about
back in
that.
those days, that was how people showcased their music. That was how if you got your music on Miami Vice, that was how
You've done it.
people found you. And yeah, everyone knows the iconic "In the Air Tonight"
Of course.
scene.
I mean, I don't know the scene, but I know it.
And a lot of people, a lot of actors that you wouldn't expect
That is
were
true.
on that show. There's Ben Stiller. There was
Which how bizarre, number one.
Matthew Richards, I think his name is. The guy who played Kramer was on an
Michael.
episode. Michael Richards. Bruce Willis. Um, the guy who plays Al Bundy in Married with Children. The guy who plays Corey's dad in
That's interesting.
Boy Meets World. He was on a very powerful episode. It was about how him and Sonny used to have this guy. I don't know if they were coming up in the academy or they just used to be part of a different department together or whatever. And the guy came out as gay.
Uh huh.
And so the guy who played Corey's dad like freaked out because, he didn't know how to deal with that. It was
Right.
very progressive. The episode was
Sure.
very like uh explaining how people deal with that and how people um are ostracized.
Right.
Um and so the guy ended up killing himself. And basically, the for some reason, some case brings Crockett and I can't remember what his name was in the show. Evan was Corey's dad.
Oh,
Brings Crockett and Evan together on a case, and so they're both having to deal with the emotions that they kind of didn't deal with at the time when their friend killed himself because he was ostracized for being gay.
right,
And anyways, it happened. I mean, it happens. It's a sad thing, and
right.
if you need help, please reach out to people, and you are loved.
Absolutely.
Um, it was such a powerful episode. It was such an episode you wouldn't have expected in an 80s show, particularly. Um, 'Cause the guy, Evan, is dealing with the fact that like it's his fault that
Yeah,
this happened. He played a big part, and he's like a loose cannon. Seems like he doesn't want to be alive anymore. He's putting himself in dangerous situations.
sure.
And Crockett is dealing with the fact that he's faced with this again, and he thought he put it behind him, and it's not
Yeah,
behind him. And he's telling Tubbs what happened, why, because the whole episode you're like, why are they so weird with each other? Why is
right.
this happening? Why does it seem like they hate each other?
Yeah.
And then something happens, and Tubbs is like, what is the deal with you guys?
Mm-hmm.
And Crockett tells him, and he's like, it wasn't your fault. Like Evans uh harassed him, and he's like, I didn't do anything to stop it.
Yeah.
It is just as much my fault.
I think, and not to get into like stereotypes or whatever, but
Yeah,
I think because Miami Vice, I'll say, is a very like man show, whatever,
yeah,
falling into stereotypes, who cares? But um
yeah,
it's a very guy show, so having that kind of like subject matter, especially at that time, right?
yeah,
Um in a show, we'll say targeted at men, I think was a very important kind of conversation to have, to maybe at
yeah,
least put the thought in people's head that like, hmm,
yeah.
maybe I
And they
should
definitely
check in on the
touched on a
people
lot
around
of,
me.
yeah, they definitely touched in on a lot of touchy subjects and a lot of things that you wouldn't have expected them to. You're like, it's a
Sure.
cop show, but they weighed in on a lot of social issues that we still deal with today.
Right.
And it's just a very good show. It's a very good show. I highly recommend it to everybody. Um, Great music, great story, a lot deeper than maybe you're thinking. You're thinking, oh, it's a cop show. It's super deep. It's a real good show. Anyways, that was my number two.
Okay. You want my number one?
Yes, what's your
Everybody
number one?
knows my number one show. Everybody. It's The Office. Come on.
It's The
I spent
Office.
like multiple years just watching that show on repeat. There's nothing better to me than sitting and watching The Office. It doesn't matter how many times I watch each episode. I
Yeah,
am still laughing at the same jokes because they're still just as funny as the first time I saw it.
we quote that show more than anything. Like
Literally.
just on a daily basis. I think like not even an hour ago we were downstairs and we both said something office
Yes,
related
of
to each
course.
other.
Of course. It's just part of the vocabulary now.
Yeah,
It's probably my favorite show of all time. It's it's
I
true.
believe it.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
So The Office, if you haven't watched it yet, I I can't recommend it enough. I
it is
know
so good.
it's not for everyone. I didn't think it was for me. Let me give some advice. You have to get through the first season. The first
Yeah,
season, they're definitely getting their footing. But by the second season, they really have their stride. And it's so good. It's so good.
yeah. And my brother, who usually doesn't watch a lot of those kinds of shows, we tend to watch a lot of the same shows, but The Office isn't really, I don't know why. The Office isn't really a show I would have been like, yeah, Addison's gonna watch that.
Sure.
He's starting to watch that with his wife now, and like they are enamored with it. He's
How
loving
can
it.
you not be? Because it's so good. It's so
He
good.
was
It's so quotable. I can't. I can't with that show. It's my favorite.
It's so funny because I love Steve Carell, and I couldn't see anyone else like
No.
playing that role, but he was saying that he was talking to me and he was like, I was watching the first few episodes and I couldn't stop thinking about what if Bruce Campbell was Michael Scott? Like, I feel like he could do this. And I was like, yeah, I can kind of see that.
Sure.
But I do love Steve Carell. I do. He holds a special place in my heart,
Um,
specifically because of The Office.
I will address the later seasons.
Yeah.
Are there some episodes that are a little in comparison to the earlier ones, just not as good? Sure. But there are plenty of episodes in the later seasons that are so funny. There are characters introduced. Hello, we get Donna in the office. What more do you want?
Yeah.
I love Catherine Tate.
And
When they added
her,
Nellie, oh my god.
along with her, you get Robert California.
Yes, Robert California.
What is his name? I
James
forget.
Spader.
James Spader. You get
Mm-hmm.
James Spader. He is the only replacement for Michael I accepted. He is the funniest dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God. He like I quote him all the time. He's so hilarious. Um, yeah, but
But
it's funny because he voiced Ultron
yeah.
in Age of Ultron, and somebody made a video where it was Ultron, but they took the quotes from The Office, and it's one of the funniest things ever. Anyways, yeah,
Yes.
The
So,
Office is
The
amazing.
Office, of course, number one. Can't recommend it enough. It's so good. Yes, you'll have some emotional episodes, right? But for the
Yeah,
most part, it is just a good time.
a good time.
Skip Scott's Tots, if I have any
Yes,
recommendations.
give Scott stars.
It's so
I just
cringy.
you might need to watch it just
You
once.
have to
It's
watch
the
it once. You have to watch
cringiest
it once, but after you've watched it
episode.
once, I give you full permission to skip it because oh my god, I want to just combust. I hate it. I hate it. I'm so secondhand embarrassed throughout that whole episode. I can't watch it.
Yeah, it's so hard to get through, but definitely watch it once. Everyone has to experience that once.
Yes, absolutely. All right, what's your number 1?
My number one,
I'm very
also
curious.
predictable if you know me.
Uh-huh.
Uh, my top two favorite shows of all time, tied for favorite shows, Miami Vice and Mission Hill.
Yeah. There it is.
Mission Hill is another show that I feel like is highly underrated. I feel like people maybe don't know about. The whole show is on YouTube. Um, I cannot recommend a show more than I recommend Mission Hill. That show is amazing. It's hilarious. Brian Posehn's in it. He's hilarious.
Carrie Pantsu.
Um,
Spicy
Karai
pants.
pants. They're not hot pants. They're Karai's pantsu. Spicy pants.
Love that.
I quote it all the time. I love that show. I think about it constantly. That's my Roman
You
Empire.
that is your Roman Empire. You, I would
Um,
argue, are probably the number one fanboy for Mission Hill.
I would also argue that I think about that show constantly. I've watched that show maybe, if not the same amount of times, then more times than we've watched The Office. I watch that show constantly. Constantly. I love that show. And it only had one season. Unfortunately, it was set up for failure from the beginning. That's a whole other conversation. It's a whole other podcast because that's a lot to talk about. What happened behind the scenes to kind of keep that show from becoming much bigger than it was. It could have been amazing. It was amazing. It could have been more. We could have gotten more. But anyways, That's besides the point. Watch Mission Hill. I love it. Could not recommend it more.
All right, Mission Hill. I
Mission Hill.
have some honorable mentions. Okay.
Okay.
Mainly because I couldn't pick. So, and some of them I started to think about as I made my saddest episodes list. So,
Yeah.
the one that came from that, right? From my
Hmm.
saddest episodes were the Tenant Years of Doctor Who. They
Yeah.
were fun. They were sad if you need a cry, but they were fun. So many
Yeah.
so many cool little adventures. I can watch the Tenant Years like all the time.
Those
Love them.
episodes are just incredibly well written.
Yes. Plus, if I had to pick like a favorite character, favorite companion, Donna Noble. Absolutely. Love
Yeah.
her. Love Wilf. Oh my God.
Wilf.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Love
Love
him.
him.
Silly boy. Silly
Absolutely
man.
adore him. Donna and Wilf. I was like, listen, this is the best little character combo to bring with him in that fourth, not
Yeah.
fourth, but yeah, I guess that was series 4 of the newer iteration.
Yeah.
Anyway, loved it. Couldn't top it. My next. Do you have any honorable mentions?
I do, but for honorable mentions, you can just go through
Okay.
all yours, and I'll go through all mine.
Okay. So my next TV show honorable mention is True Beauty. I love True Beauty. It's a K drama. Um, it's a little
I
silly.
love
It's
that
got a
show
little
so
sad,
much.
but it's just a good. It has a little
Right.
feel good ending. Love it.
It's a fantastic show. I love that show.
Yes.
Um, yeah,
Okay.
that's a great show.
And then I went a little off the rails, right?
Okay.
I picked up a couple podcasts slash radio shows I listen to, just because they are a part of my every week. I
It's
can't.
off the rails.
Yes, I can't imagine going like a long period without listening to these. So, um, H3. I'm an H3
Love
girly.
H3.
Um,
H3 Productions.
Ela Kleiner through and through. Love Olivia. Grabby
Oh,
hands.
Olivia.
Oh, Olivia. Yeah, no, I just love I love H3. I love
Yeah.
um I watched them pretty much since the beginning of the podcast,
I
I
think we may have
think.
watched it from literally the beginning. We watched
Yeah.
it with
I didn't
when Jenna and Julian were on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I didn't watch so much the YouTube channel, but I knew about the podcast. And so I would be
Yeah.
watching that. Anyway, yeah. So H3, big fan. And then my other much more niche selection is the Dave Ryan in the Morning Show. It is the morning show based in the Twin Cities. Uh, I've listened to Dave since I was like literally a child. He's one of those DJs that stayed like same place for 30 years, I think now. And he's just been a big part of like my life in a weird way. And so he's
Yeah.
like my little connection. Dave and Jenny and Drake are like my little connection back to the Twin Cities. Yeah.
Um,
And I
when
well,
I
to be fair,
was
go
uh,
ahead. Oh, I was just gonna say
oh
I also listened to Fallon's show. She used to be on the Dave
yeah.
Ryan show, and I listen to her afternoon show now. But yeah, I love them. Go ahead.
When I was growing up, we didn't really have a radio station where we were like, that's our beloved uh radio DJ. We had something called John Boy and Billy in the morning, and it was like these two rednecks, and they were kind of funny, but it wasn't like uh love those guys. Couldn't live without them. When I moved to Minnesota, she introduced me to Dave Ryan, and I was like, "Oh my God, I love this man."
He's
I,
like such. He's probably one of like the top tier. I mean, of course, you
yeah,
have your Ryan Seacrest and whatever, but I am firmly in the camp that this man deserved syndication a long time ago. There are
Yeah,
plenty of other stations that perform just as well as the Dave Ryan show that
yeah,
are syndicated. So they're really sleeping on that one, to be honest.
they really are.
I
War of the
think,
Roses is amazing.
oh my God, War of the Roses. If you listen to one segment, it's KDWB's War of the Roses. There are others that have tried to copy. I mean, I don't even know that they were the original one that did it. There are, I mean, that's just the way with radio. They share bits and stuff across the country. But
Yeah,
KDWB's War of the Roses, absolutely bananas. Love it. Uh, one person in the couple or one person associated with the couple sometimes calls in to see if the partner is cheating.
yeah.
Just good old fashioned drama. Who doesn't love it?
They
Yeah.
pretend to send roses and then they have to wait and see like who they're gonna send it to, but it's always hilarious. It's always the craziest thing.
Sometimes
But
to
yeah,
be fair, sometimes it's boring. But if there's one, I'm gonna link it in the bottom bar. There is one like
okay.
penultimate um
I'm
War of the
taking you
Roses
kids to
that if you
school.
listen to one, it's the
School bus driver.
yeah. It, God, what was his name?
Nick
Nick the Stoner. Oh my God, Nick the Stoner.
Nick the Stoner.
That is the
Amazing.
absolute, classic War of the Roses.
Yeah.
It happened like
Um,
over a decade ago now, but people still like will call in and request that one specifically.
somebody made a shirt based on that. It's on Etsy.
I
It
think
says,
Dave did,
it says I'm taking you kids to school.
or Dave or his wife did.
You gotta listen to that. I almost said watch. You gotta listen to that one. It's
Well, I
hilarious.
will link the video that it's like a puppet theater they did of it.
Oh no.
So, yeah, you'll appreciate it. It has visuals. So,
Amazing.
but yeah, that's all my honorable mentions. So, what were yours?
Okay. Seinfeld for one.
Okay.
That's another show I can just sit there and watch. It's like junk food show. I mean, it's no commitment, no actual story. It's just hilarious. You just sit there and
It's a show about
watch,
nothing.
yeah, watch Kramer fly into the room and say some stupid shit. And Terry judge his friends for being stupid. Um,
Vibes.
vibes. Another show is another underrated animated show like Mission Hill. It's also on YouTube. The whole show is it's called MTV's Downtown, and I don't know quite how to describe like Mission Hill and MTV's Downtown. Like they're just kind of about being a young adult
I was
in the
about to say
city.
it's very much like a 20 something kind of
Yeah,
coming of agey show, I would say.
yeah, and MTV's Downtown is hilarious. It's you sometimes want to scream at Alex for being so stupid because he pines after this girl and he doesn't ever do anything about it, and it's just, but it's funny. It's a good show. Um, Another show is kind of not kind of off the rails like yours. It's a YouTube channel,
Mm.
Markiplier.
Oh my God, Marky Moo.
There is nothing funnier than watching the human equivalent of a Labrador retriever play horror games. That's what Mark is.
Listen, I
He's
have
just a
been
human lab.
I have been with Markiplier for many years now. Many moons, if you will. Um he's still like there's been a lot of YouTubers I've watched and faded out on. I can still watch Markiplier and he's still just as funny, if not
Yeah.
funnier, than
Like despite the fact that he's playing horror games,
yeah,
there are often times that I just put on his horror game playlist and go to sleep.
a
Like,
lot. a lot. And then
He's just so
I
funny.
have to go to bed because I'm up
Yeah.
later than you. And it's all
Yeah.
quiet and it's all dark and he's playing a scary game, which is fine. He's a clown.
He takes the edge off.
He does, but it's still scary. So
Yeah.
scary, so mean. Um, what was I gonna say? Yeah, I mean, as far as my YouTube watching goes, I have been through probably every community at some point. Every big
Yeah.
community, we'll say, on YouTube. I remember in the beginning when everybody was doing little collab channels. I mean, so like my favorite
Yeah.
back then was Vlog Candy.
Block candy, yeah.
Strawberry 17. She's still like a relatively popular YouTuber. She got started back then. Like that was like 2007, 2008. It
Yeah,
was
that was
her, Andrew Bravner, Hurricane Aubrey. Um,
Hurricane Aubrey. I still see her stuff.
yeah.
She's does a lot of art.
Yep. Um, and that's kind of what brought them all together, where they were very
Yeah.
artistic in one way or another. So, some like drawing, others were more like musically. Let's go back. That was TikTok. Musically talented, and some were a mix of both. But they
Yeah.
would do like weekly challenges, and like each one of them. I'm sorry, Andrew Bravner, Zachary Binks. I don't know what he goes by today, but that's
I
what he
think
went
it's
by.
still
Okay.
that because he does art too, and I used to follow him on Twitter, but I think
And
at one point he wasn't like posting as much, and I unfollowed.
yeah.
But I think he is still active somewhere as an artist.
And oh, John. He went by John Man back then, but I think he's still on Twitter. Um,
Yeah.
and his name, it's like starts with an S. Oh my god, I pulled up the Vlog Candy channel, and who do I see but Dan and Phil?
Dan and Phil.
I love
Oh my
them.
God.
I still
I'm
watch
so
them.
glad they brought their
Gaming
gaming
channel back.
channel
Oh my
back.
god, me too.
It's funny.
District.
They're
Oh my
hilarious.
god. I'm just seeing so much. I'm seeing
You're
so
just having a
much.
nostalgia blast back there.
Yeah, because District Lines was like a big merch company back then. Like I ordered Andrew Bravner merch for sure.
Yeah,
Um Anyway, I think it's like John Salamone or something.
that sounds right.
But yeah, they were big. They were a big deal.
Yeah,
Um I guess all that to say was I went from like the vlog candy, Shane Dawson. That was a thing I used to watch when I was a kid.
yeah.
Um who else at that time?
Jenna.
Dan and Phil, very early adopter, watched Dan pretty much the same year he started his channel. Loved him. Loved him.
Yeah,
Identified with Dan much more than Phil. No offense. Loved Phil, but love a
yeah.
cynic. And then yeah, just through gaming YouTube and drama YouTube. Love drama. Love the beauty YouTube.
And then Mark.
But Mark, basically my point was Mark has been my consistent. I found him during like the real big gaming blow up in like
Yeah,
2009, 2010, 2011 in there. And I mean, I come back to him pretty much
yeah.
anytime I'm like, "Aw, you know who's
It is
consistently good? Markiplier."
Markiplier. It's so
And I love
wild to
Mamaplier.
go back and watch his old episodes. He
Sure.
was such a baby. He was a
I know.
baby.
I
He
know.
was a baby.
I know. I'm like, "Oh, we're old
And then
now.
we
We're all
we
old."
got we got Unis Honest from him
Oh,
and
Unis
Ethan
honest.
Nestor.
What a moment.
We quote that a lot too.
Yes.
It's the dance of Italy. Whoa,
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 whoa, whoa.
whoa. And I think the one that we quote the most is Skillet. Skill
Oh my
tree.
god. Griddle?
Skrillex.
Griddle?
Squirtle.
And just Mark's just devastated look as this man tries to figure out what a skillet is.
Yeah, that was amazing.
But
But
yeah,
yeah,
Mark, love Mark. Very good honorable mention. Oh,
love
and
Mark.
he's made a movie. Can we
He
believe
has
it? Like a
made a
whole
movie,
movie
a horror
going
movie.
to theaters based off is it Iron Lung? Is that the name
It's
of the
Iron
game?
Lung, I think. Yeah. Um.
Submarine.
Yeah. I think that's what it's called or based on. Both me, you, uh, all three of us, me, you, and my brother Addison, are very hyped about that movie.
Yes, it's gotta be so good. And I know he
Yeah.
worked very closely with the creator of the game. So I'm
Yeah.
very intrigued to see how this turns out.
Yeah. Super hyped. Um, I think as far as my honorable mentions go, the only thing else I can say,
Mhm.
but that's only because I'm watching it right now, is the Yu-Gi-Oh shows.
Sure.
I love watching the Yu-Gi-Oh shows. They're just so silly. I don't know how they are, like, actually are, but the English for kids dubs are just the silliest things
Silliest little guys.
ever. And they're just the silliest little guys. Especially like the original show, and like I'm watching Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds right now. And there's a moment where there's a guy who looks exactly like Joey from the original show, except he has glasses and he talks exactly the same way. And someone I was about to say, but then someone in the crowd is like, "Is that Joey Wheeler?" And the other guy's like, "No, that's his cousin Jesse." And it just cracks me up. They have stupid little jokes like that. But anyways, um, that's all I can really think about for my honorable mentions. I'm
All right.
sure I'll think about more later, but yeah,
I think
that's
we
what
have
comes to
made
mind.
a very long episode, so I hope y'all enjoyed it. We really
I
went
hope
through
so
it.
too.
We really
We
went through
really
it for
did.
y'all. So I hope
I
you get something from it. Maybe watch an episode of one of the shows we talked about. Have a cry, you know.
Yeah, have a cry,
Have a cry on
work some
us.
things out.
Yeah,
Have a cry on
work
us.
some things out. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this is all my fault, by the way. You can
It
all
is.
blame me.
It is all
I'm
his
a
fault.
real, I'm a real tear jerk, if you know what I mean.
That's it. That's the one. Okay. Well,
Um,
thank y'all for hanging out with us
yeah,
this week. I hope you enjoyed the longer episode. And
yeah.
yeah,
If you made it this far, thank you so much.
yes. Yell
We
at Dustin
appreciate
in the
you.
comments for
Yeah, you can yell
being
at
so
me.
rude,
Um,
making both
if
of us cry
if
at the
there's
very least.
anything you guys want us to talk about, please let us know in the comments below.
Comments below
Maybe
on
we'll
on Twitter.
end up talking. Yeah,
Mhm.
maybe we'll end up talking about it. Maybe not, but you can always shoot your shot.
Absolutely.
And um, we hope you enjoyed it. We
Of
hope you
course.
stuck around this whole time.
Yes.
Thank
And
you
don't
guys
forget to
so
do all the
much.
things.
Yeah,
Like,
subscribe,
subscribe.
like,
We've already
comment.
told you to comment, so, do that already. You better have done it already, actually.
Yeah. And if you guys want to tell us your favorite comfort shows,
Yes,
let us
please.
know.
Please. Love to hear everybody else's and anything that made you cry
Oh,
because I want to cry
I
some
have
more.
one more honorable mention
Okay.
on
Get
the
it out.
vein of True Beauty. So I married the anti-fan.
See, I
Okay.
was trying to decide between those two, but I landed
Yeah.
on True Beauty because um I couldn't get the okie dokie yo.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But
okay. Thank y'all for
thank you
watching.
guys.
We will see you next week. Goodbye. Love you.
Goodbye. Love y'all. Bye.